Okay, so today I'm going to be reviewing season 1 of Dancemoms. I just binged the entirety of it. I am rewatching the show again. This is like what, my fourth time or something like that. I love the show, one of my favorites, so I decided I'm going to review each season. And so let's just get into it and let's talk about my thoughts on the moms because I feel like they're changing a little bit this time around. So I feel like I'm liking Kelly a lot more on this rewatch. Like, I've always liked Kelly, but I can appreciate her a lot more now because I can tell how much that she really cares about her kids. And, she was always going to give Abby a piece of her mind. She always put her kids first, and she's telling them, there's things other than dance. Like, yes, you love this, but at the same time, you need to have a balanced life. And just like, even in the beginning, hearing them talk about their scheduling and everything that they have to sacrifice for, it's just absolutely crazy. So I can appreciate Kelly for that. Christy, like I said in one of my recent videos in this, I'm kind of getting more neutral on her because I agree with a lot of the stuff that she says. And, I think it was ridiculous that one episode where Abby gives Maddie two solos. And then even Melissa, like, she needs to read the room, talk about, oh, I wouldn't be mad if the other girls had two solos. Yes, you would. Like, you can understand why people would be upset about that. That being said, I think the way that Christy handled that situation was ridiculous. It really was. Like, at a certain point, you go to the competition, you perform the solo. It is what it is. Just take that, I'll talk about it the next day. But to have the argument in front of the girls and just everything she's saying about Maddie and just like that moment, like, that is kind of traumatic in a way. And just some of the ways that she behaves sometimes and handles herself, I'm just like, you could have went about this in a much better way. And now that I'm watching it, I'm like, there is some jealousy towards Maddie. There is. I think a lot of Christy's problem comes with Melissa and the fact that she'll do anything to get Maddie ahead at any cost. And so it definitely sets up a weird relationship between Abby and Maddie, particularly because she's literally the favorite. She can do no wrong. Abby puts a lot of pressure on her, and so Maddie has her own struggles to deal with for the show, of course. And so, yeah, I think part of that does go to Maddie, though, because, she's seeing how it's affecting Chloe and everything, and she wishes that Chloe got those same opportunities, but I just feel like sometimes she's taking it out on her, and just even, like, her interviews, and I just feel like all these, like, snide little comments, and it's just like, you're a grown woman. She was, what, like, 34 by the time you're doing this season? Like, grow up. Like, why are you doing this to a child? And so, like I said, I agree with most of the stuff that she says, but sometimes the thing that she says and the way that she acts, I'm not loving it. I'm not. Really like Holly. Holly's obviously the best dance mom on the show because for the most part I really agree with how she conducts herself, and this first season I really enjoyed a lot of seeing her on the screen, and I agree with a lot of her points, especially the fact that Abby was always giving Nia like the ethnic solo and all that stuff, and then even Kelly trying to say, oh, all these girls get typecasted and Brooke's always getting an acro solo. That's not the same thing. It's really not. There's a difference between that and the race, and Holly was completely valid bringing that up as well, so I will definitely have that point. I don't like Melissa, and that's not going to change in this rewatch. I just think that she's very two-faced. And, it's just Gemini core, because a lot of Geminis are going to meet somebody, they're going to talk somebody up, and then the second they leave, they're going to talk trash about them. She'll do anything to get Maddie ahead, and it's very clear. And even, her snide comments and stuff that she says has definitely caught that as well. Like, for the music video and everything, talking about, oh, I'm happy that Maddie didn't get the lead, and if it was just based on dancing, then she would have won it all. Like, just be actually happy for Chloe. I hate when they do that. I hate when they pretend they're happy for the girl, and then they have these comments on them, like, these are children, like, be respectful. So, like, that's part of it. I also feel like she could have, treated Mackenzie better. And some of the moms, too. Like, whenever the girls start breaking down and crying and just, have that moment, I just feel like they need to be a little bit more empathetic. And a lot of times they are, but sometimes they're just like, oh, suck it up, get back out there. And it's like, these are kids, be a little bit more sensitive to them. So that is definitely a point that I wanted to have there as well. Kathy is in this first season, and Kathy had a lot of fun moments. She really did. And, her shade and, like, all those light moments there, I could appreciate she kept it real to a certain extent. And I believe Abby and Kathy said this, or one of the other dance moms, but basically they already knew each other before the show. Like, they were already colleagues. And so for them to pretend like they've never met and had to introduce themselves, I thought was actually, like, pretty funny as well. So that's kind of the dynamic there. With Abby, it's just like, she had some good moments during this season. I could appreciate her saying a nice comment to Chloe or two. That was nice. And that doesn't really happen a whole lot through the show, as we know. And as people said, I feel like a lot of Abby's vitriol for Chloe actually go towards Christy. Like I said, I feel like Christy could handle herself better sometimes. I appreciate that most of the time she stands up for Chloe and the other girls whenever she sees that something right is not going on. When she sees Abby, saying rude things to the other girls and not giving fair treatment, like, she will stand up for the other girls. And that's one thing I appreciate about Christy and Kelly for that matter. And yeah, for the most part, I feel like this is a really great group of moms, and, they do what's right most of the time. There's sometimes I really disagree with them. So that's that point there. But yeah, there was still some niceness in Abby towards the beginning. It's before the show really blew up. Obviously, this is the first season, so, that's kind of there. And then, I like all the girls, obviously. Like I said, Chloe's my favorite. And so I really enjoy the Dream on the Stars solo. That's probably my favorite solo this first season. And I've talked about this before, but there were definitely some times where Abby set Chloe up with the solos and choreography and stuff like that. Because that week that Maddie is given off, she gives Chloe the Missing You solo. And I really like that solo. It's a great solo. But I feel like Abby set her up to not win. And then she's like, oh, now you can't complain, da da da. Because they gave her the opportunity, she failed. But it's like, no, you set her up. Like, give her typical lyrical and really, have the choreography for her to win. And so that's like a moment. And it just like is what it is. But I really like that solo for what it is. Maddie's Cry solo in this season is certainly iconic. And then I really like their Black Swan duet as well. That was fun. I like that one solo that Nia had. I believe it was called You Do. So that was fun. The Snake Charmer duet was a lot of fun. The This Is My Beauty group is my favorite group of season 1. So I feel like there was a lot of great group dances as well. Party, party, party was fun. There's a controversy with electricity in the season, and rightfully so. And, the moms are real for having their concerns about that and speaking up because, that's definitely something that they needed to do at that time. One thing I really liked about the first season of the show is just how amateurish it is, just in terms of, the production quality and stuff like that. Like, it's not all high quality. Like, it feels like of the time. This was like, 2010, 2011, and it feels like it. And I love when shows are a time capsule in that way. So even watching it, the angles that they film at, the whole production quality, I really love that about it. I love the amateurish feel about it. And I'm glad that they did step up the production quality in subsequent seasons. But I actually really did enjoy that about the show as well. But I mean, yeah, everything is just set up from the beginning, the whole Maddie Chloe rivalry, and we just know how that goes as the show goes on and everything, and you can already see the toll that it starts to take on. And yeah, all the girls are definitely going through their own thing. I mean, you can tell that Abby is definitely sabotaging Chloe, as already discussed, and she even says, I never wanted Chloe to win, so you have to deal with that. And he has to deal with racism, and she basically never really gets a lot of the opportunities that she deserves. Brooke is definitely a favorite, but a lot of pressure is put on her by Abby as well, and there's like certain parts there I feel like she should be given a little bit of grace. Paige gets a lot of unjust vitriol from Abby, and she's too harsh on her, in my opinion, obviously, so you have to deal with that. Mackenzie doesn't really get the shine a lot of times that she deserves, and she was definitely younger than the girls, and I feel like as she kept going on throughout the show, she definitely improved. Maddie is the perfectionist, as we know. She has so much pressure put on her, and there's definitely that unhealthy relationship between her and Abby that, Melissa put through and like benefited off of. So you have to have that kind of conversation there, the dynamics there. A couple other notes I thought of that I really wanted to add to this is, number one, I appreciate Maddie's solo disappear more now that like I watched the context of the show and what the solo was supposed to be about. Because whenever I just watched a solo at like face value, I liked it, but then whenever I learned the backstory once again and then saw her perform it, the execution was top tier. So I appreciated that solo more, like rewatching it. Next up, another thing with Mackenzie is that she's always going to be compared to Maddie because they're sisters, so that has something to do with it, and they're two different people, so I just feel like that's really unfair. And you can tell from the jump that Melissa is definitely favoriting Maddie more than Mackenzie, and she basically does that throughout the entire show, and so that has to be like really hard on her as well. And yeah, there is something about that with Paige and Brooke as well, but I feel like it was a lot worse with Maddie and Mackenzie, so I wanted to have that. But yeah, it kind of just sucks constantly being compared to your sister at that, so I had to mention that. Another thing is that the moms are really funny on the show. Like, their banter with each other in general, their banter with Abby, like, they're really hilarious to watch. So I just really enjoy their humor. There's a lot of moments where I'm laughing on this season and throughout the show. And last up, I feel like this is a great show that, like, you can watch with family. Like, the moms, a lot of times, like, they like the drama and stuff like that. And then the kids, like, they have that part with the dancing. Like, whenever I was watching when I was younger, I was more so focused on the dancing anyway. So, there was a lot of great things to pluck out from this first season. I thought a lot of entertainment value. That's why I like the show. Overall, I still love Christy and Kelly's friendship. Holly is the best mom. Abby hasn't completely gone off the deep end yet, and there were some cute moments like the ice cream moment and all those things. And we had the Lux moment at the end where Chloe gets to lead in the music video, which she really needed after forgetting her solo at nationals. That has to just really be unfortunate. I was even thinking about this the other day. I'm just like, imagine forgetting your solo on TV and then millions of people watch it in real time, and then they've uploaded it onto YouTube, of course, so people see that, like, all your most embarrassing moments just uploaded like in that way, and just all the pressure that these girls had to go through and everything, and just signing up for the show, and you didn't really know what it was going to be. And so that's kind of why I like the first seasons, because there's no expectations going in, because they didn't know what it was going to be, and you kind of see most of them at their purest form, honestly. And I feel like for the most part, you either like what you see in the beginning in the first season or you don't, and I feel like it's kind of hard to change your opinion about any of the girls or about any of the moms or Abby or anything as the show goes on throughout. And so that's how I feel. I mean, we still have season 2 and the rest of the seasons, And once I finish up those, I'll do individual season reviews. But yeah, this is one of my favorite seasons of Dance Moms. I'm going to re-rank the seasons as well for it. But I mean, that's kind of like my general view of it. I mean, I think that there were some moments that I didn't get. Like whenever Kelly was mad that Brooke wasn't at the top of the pyramid because they were having the acrobatic dance, and it's like she wasn't at the top because it was based on the previous week's performance. Like sometimes they go up to Abby, I'm like, why is this what you're arguing about right now? Sometimes they could pick their battles better, but you can tell that they care about the kids. But yeah, that's basically my review. I've done some other Dance Moms content, so I did my favorite Chloe solos, my favorite Maddie solos, my favorite group dances, and I have some other stuff that'll already be posted, and I'm gonna do these little season reviews. But I just thought it'd be fun because I'm rewatching Dance Moms, and it was been a few years since I last watched it. I feel like I matured a little bit, having more outside information about the show and everything, and just watching it again and kind of getting a fresh glance. My opinions have changed, so I just thought this would be really fun to do. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments on this first season. How many times have you seen the show? And I want to hear your feedback on everything I have to say.